All right, I'm just gonna wait for a couple of people to get in here before I really start my rant or really what's going on. All right, there's one person. Hello. Okay, two people. Just waiting in here, guys, for a little bit. Three people. That's good. Hey, Chance. Okay, so I guess the others will just start joining as we go. Hopefully. There's 5 people now. Okay. So I'm here today in the guest bedroom upstairs because it has the most light. But hey, Kelly. Nice to know that you're getting around the world. It's good to see you, actually. So let's take a little talk about brain surgery number 1. Not 2, 1. Let's talk about brain surgery 1 and exactly what happened. So basically, I went to the doctors. I had pseudotumor. We already know that. They said surgery would be likely the best possible option. I said, okay, if it'll stop the head pressure and it stopped my eyesight from going. I got super excited because for once, this pressure was going to disappear. It was going to be great. So, with that being said, the surgery date was set for May 15th. And on that date, I waited for that date to come. So basically, as I was waiting, I started getting a little bit anxious. I started maybe minorly freaking out a little bit. It was brain surgery after all, and it was something that I wasn't used to. So I didn't let anybody know online until that day. Like, not that day, but like the night before. So the night before, I went on Facebook Live and I let the cat out of the bag that I was having brain surgery in the morning. This meant that everybody who I hadn't told personally got a slap to the face and a rude awakening. I am sorry, not sorry. I didn't feel like having to explain myself a million times over, and so I just let the cat out of the bag overnight. And then that next morning, we shipped off early in the van, and we headed to Christiana Hospital so I could go do my surgery. I was happy. I was excited. For once, the pressure was going to go. It turns out it did not turn out like that. Not the way that I thought it should have. So the fun bit is what happens next. Now, on this channel, I didn't touch on my brain surgeries. I touched on my conditions and how bad my days were and exactly what was happening, but I never once touched on my conditions that I had or have. Well, I mean, I touched on those, but I didn't touch on like the brain surgery that I would be getting because, like I said, I didn't let the cat out of the bag until the night before. So, with that being said, I went to Christiana the next morning. I had the shunt put in. I waited about an hour or so before surgery. Um, we were having trouble getting my ear piercings out, so it took a while. If you're here, don't be afraid to drop a comment as I'm talking. I can see it, and I can respond to you, which is the great thing about live. So I basically went through all this. I was waiting, and when the time came, they wheeled me back to this small, like, holding room, and the anesthesiologist came and she talked to me, and they were like, did you drink or eat anything after this time? You know, did you drink anything this morning? Did you eat anything this morning? You know, all the stuff that you shouldn't do, they made sure. Welcome back, Kelly. So they basically asked me all the questions that they would before any normal pre-surgery. One of the things that they did was they checked my eye dilation to see where my pupils were at, which they were really big. They said that my pupils were about a 4, which is quite fairly dilated for not being in the dark, which I wasn't in the dark at all. So, like I said, it was all of that and then some. So, I was laying there, and finally they were like, well, we're going to give you something through your IV before you go to kind of calm you down and mellow you out. So, you know, my mom was holding my hand because brain surgery is scary, and you know, she was upset. She didn't want anything to happen to me, and I'm certain that if she had to pick my life out, that she wouldn't have wanted me to go through any kind of surgery, brain surgery and or abdominal surgery or anything. So she was holding my hand, and she said, you'll be okay, and I'll see you in a little bit, before they ushered me in back to the surgical room, or the operating room, where I moved myself over from the one table to the other table. And as soon as I moved myself over to the other surgical table, they had me scoot forward and lay down and put my arms out. Well, my arms were basically out like, I don't know if you can see it, like this. So, with that being said, I remember being there for quite a while with just my eyes open. Kelly, I was not high, trust me. So I just remember being there for a while, and I didn't go to sleep like most people, just like conked out right away. I didn't do that. I was actually with the oxygen masks staring up at the ceiling for about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. The doctor literally left and came back, and when he looked over me, I was still there. So I was just looking up at him, and everybody was looking at me like I should be asleep. So finally, I drifted off into sleep under the anesthesia and their effects. And at which point, I'm sure that they strapped my arms down and everything else that they need to do for surgery. And when I woke up, first off, surgery, you know, I seem to get angry when I come out of surgery for some reason. Anesthesia makes me angry. It turns me into an angry person. So that happened, and I literally, when I woke up, I remember going in and out. My father was there, my dad was there, my mom was there. Noah was there, one of my friends at the time. Um, my stepmom was there, and I first remember coming to and coming about, and it hurt quite a bit. I had my head shaved. Well, I've kept my head shaved, but I had shaved my head in a way to which they could easily just operate on it um, without shaving like my head even further. So I'll show you guys now actually exactly how I shaved my head. So basically, I shaved my head like this, and it goes around to the other side, and it goes down to a V in the back. So let me see if I can actually move back, show you guys a little bit how my head goes. So basically, I shaved my head. I shaved my head so they didn't have to shave it. And I actually like this hairstyle. I found out that it suits me the most for who I am. So I've decided to keep it. So when I woke up, let me just pull this back really quick so you guys can see. There's my scar. It's right here. So they went in and they drilled a burr hole, which if you don't know what a burr hole is, it's just this tiny little hole about that big. And it's still a soft spot where there's no skull. That'll be there for pretty much ever. So they drilled the burr hole and they put the probe into my brain at a certain area, into the center of it, into the ventricle, or not the ventricle. There's a cavity inside your brain that's filled with water, cerebral spine fluid. And that's what controls the fluid output to like your entire brain and everything else around it, like how much is in your brain, how much is around it, how much is going to exit the brain and go down into the spinal cavity. So having that shunt, it takes the extra fluid, opens the pressure valve, and goes down all the way through the tube, which they place all the way through down into my abdomen. So with this, hey Bayo, with this, it was supposed to override the fact that the pressure increases in my head so much to the point where it feels like somebody is putting my head inside a vice grip and just cranking it closed. So, and it did. It worked great. I woke up and I was in pain. So they kept me, instead of one night, they kept me like into the next day and then that night, and then I left the second day. But the first day, when I woke up, I want to say about 2 hours later, I got on live on Facebook to let everybody know that like I was okay and that the procedure went well and that there were absolutely no complications. So with the no complications, you know, they released me from the hospital, but when I was walking, I remember getting a pain, a really bad pain, really low down. It felt like it was in my groin area. And it just hit so sharp that I like doubled over. You know, this pain the entire time through the healing process did not go away. It didn't go away. You know, there was a lot of speculation about what it was, and basically, it's okay. So basically, there was a lot of speculation on what it was and why I was having it, because it was supposed to not hurt like that. But I figured my insides were moved around. There was a shunt placed, like a tube that went all the way down, like into my stomach area, under my skin. So I was like, I just need to heal. Well, let me tell you, that did not get better. If anything, it got worse. So originally, the incision in my stomach was only about this long. And that was for my first surgery. So I'm going to see if I can find a photo. All right. So before I shaved my hair, this is what I looked like. I had a wild mane that never ceased to stop. And then I shaved my hair, and that was me with my grandma the day that I shaved my hair. And then the morning of my surgery, that was me. And then that was me in the hospital. You can't really see, so I'll hold it closer. That was me in the hospital as I was waiting to change into my gown for my surgery. After I got home from the hospital, I don't know if you can see it, but this right here is the arch at which they had cut into my head. And then like I said, my stomach, it was only about that big, which is fairly small, like I said, about like that big. And after I had braided my hair, which I did, you can see clearly the arch that it had made. And then if I get closer, you can see the line right here. That line right there was the tube underneath my skin that was coming down. And you could actually feel it all the way down, which was kind of weird at first. So, I went through the healing process where my hair was growing back and everything. And you can see on the side that side is shaved. And I stayed in bed like I should have. And I did everything that I should have. They said within 2 weeks I should have been fully healed. And I should have. Except came the day where I passed out on the floor. I don't remember how I made it to the garage where my parents were at. I don't remember sliding down the wall and tremoring so bad they thought it was a seizure. I don't remember them calling 911 or me ending up on a gurney. I don't remember the hospital ride to the hospital or the ambulance ride to the hospital. I don't remember getting to the hospital. They hit me with, I think it was Ativan, which is a sedation drug. And they also hit me with fentanyl, which is a pain drug, because I was in unbelievable pain. Now, I was rushed to Kent General Hospital, in which I don't remember anything. They say I was on live. I probably was on live. I was in such pain. I got more pain medication there. I remember them doing x-rays of my shunt to see my shunt. So the x-rays to see my shunt were actually pretty cool because I had not seen it before. So the first one looks like this. And that's the probe inside my brain. that area there. Let's see if I can dim it down. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the burr hole and where it's at, pushing in towards my brain, or into my brain, into the center where I was talking about that fluid cavity. And then with this one, you can see the cord where it goes underneath my skin, down my sternum. That's the tube that I was talking about. And then here you can see the tube as it goes all the way down and over towards my low part. Now this sits really, really low. That caused a lot of pain being right there. An unbelievable amount of pain. So here's this from the side where it enters my skin and then continues on to go down. And then this was just a close-up of where it was sitting. So yes, that is my skeleton, and that is where my shunt was. That is where my shunt was, being the keyword here. Now, for those of you that did not know, this entire month is Hydrocephalus Awareness Month. And hydrocephalus is the water on the brain. Hydrocephalus is the water on the brain one where you make too much fluid or cannot drain fluid correctly. I have pseudotumor cerebri, which is the more rare form of hydrocephalus, but it is also kind of hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus usually one has their entire life. PTC, pseudotumor cerebri, is the one that I have, which occurred because of my autoimmune disease. For any of you that were wondering, the shunt helped. I felt like I could think clearly. I felt the pressure was gone. Everything was great. I felt lighter. I was sleeping well. The pressure in my head wasn't making me sick. So the pain had stopped. I felt this way right after surgery, like right after they put it in. YouTube might flag nudity. I'd like to see YouTube try to flag nudity for that. I actually would pay to see that, to be fair. But like I said, this entire month is Hydrocephalus Awareness Month. And for all of you that are watching, I would really appreciate it if you could post something about it. If you look at my profile photo, it is a hydrocephalus thing. If you could share that off my Facebook, that would be great, because it's going to get around, and I want people to be aware that there are people who are suffering with this. It's a real thing. So, like I said, Hydrocephalus Month, and to let people know that there are other people struggling, and just to be aware, since, nobody really thinks about the brain. They're like, yeah, the brain just works. The brain never just works. So, like I said, Hydrocephalus Aware Month. Please share. Please write a status or a comment or something. Share this video, just to let people know. So that was my first brain surgery. I did not recover from it. Not entirely the way you think that I recovered. So by sharing this video, and with it being one of the many, 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 many hydrocephalus awareness things, I would really, really appreciate it if you could get it out, or could get the word out. Because, like I said, not many people know, and I have a couple friends now who I know with hydrocephalus, and I don't want to see them suffer. And I'd rather see people understand their condition instead of looking at them. Like, if you look at me, you go, she looks perfectly healthy. Well, yes, I look healthy, but that doesn't mean that I'm not suffering from inside my head. It's a silent kind of pain that is just really, 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 really just keeps you from doing everything. So sometimes a person might not be able to eat. They're in so much pain. They might not be able to sleep. They might not be able to stop getting sick. They might not be able to read because the pressure will then push on the optic nerve and affect their eyesight. You know, all of this lines up with hydrocephalus and PTC, pseudotumor cerebri. So, like I said, if you could please share this, get the word out on hydrocephalus or pseudotumor cerebri, and keep a lookout for when I go live next to discuss my second brain surgery, which will be the second part of this video. I would much appreciate it. And please, guys, all of you, every single one of you, I want you to take 10 minutes, whatever, soak in the bath, spend it on yourself. Take care of yourself, because you can't do anything for anybody else if you aren't in check first. So just take a while, spend it on yourself, maybe some alone time, get your head straight, you know, think about things, maybe watch a movie or something. Family is important. Yourself is important. And I appreciate every single one of you for being here and watching this, because this is, to me, very, very important. And I will see you guys next time on My Crazy Life.